His phone rang again. It was Minsu. He looked at it but couldn't bring himself to answer. He had promised her that he would protect her, but now he didn't know if he could. That night, as Minsu lay fast asleep, her phone rang. She woke up and quickly answered, relief washing over her when she heard Sunjin's voice. She had been waiting all day to talk to him. He sounded drunk, his words slurred as he told her to come to the parking lot. Without hesitation, she rushed out. When she arrived, she found Sunjin standing beside his car, his eyes red from alcohol. She hurried to him, concerned, and asked what was going on. Without a word, he pulled her close and looked into her eyes, his touch gentle as he caressed her face. Confused, Minsu asked if he was okay and if he had been drinking. Sunjin pulled her even closer and kissed her. Minsu tried to say something, but he leaned her against his car and continued kissing her passionately. He then looked at her again and told her that he loved her, but that he was letting her go. Minsu, stunned, asked what was happening, mentioning the statement from his company. Sunjin told her that being with him would only ruin her reputation and that he had to let her go to protect her. Minsu held his hand tightly and told him she didn't want to let him go, that whatever happened, they could face it together. Sunjin shook his head and told her that his father knew she was his weakness and would do anything to get to him, even if it meant destroying her. He apologized, got into his car, and drove away, leaving Minsu standing there, speechless, her heart aching as if a part of her had been ripped away. Minsu went back to her room and lay in bed, looking at her phone, contemplating calling Sunjin but unable to bring herself to do so. She had no one to call or talk to and didn't want to bother her parents. She just lay in bed, held her pillow close, and cried to herself. It was her first heartbreak, and losing Sunjin had shattered her heart into pieces. The next morning, Sunjin was still in bed, lacking the courage to go to the office after what had happened the previous night. He thought of Minsu, wondering how she was coping. He looked at his phone, tempted to call her, but remembered what was at stake. He put his phone back down and went back to sleep. The next day, Minsu had to wake up early, knowing that despite her heartbreak, life had to go on, and that meant going to work. She tried her best not to let thoughts of Sunjin consume her, but it was a losing battle. She missed him so much and wanted to see and talk to him. However, she held herself together and did her best to stay focused. She went to her part-time job at the preschool for her morning shift, but upon arrival, she was called to the principal's office, where she was told they had to dismiss her due to the news circulating about her. They explained that they didn't want to ruin the organization's reputation. Minsu understood and left, only to receive the same news at her cafe part-time job. Sitting alone in the park, she wondered how everything had crumbled so quickly, how people were so quick to believe lies about her. Her phone rang. It was her parents. Her father, deeply concerned about the things he had seen circulating on the internet, asked if she was okay. With tears in her eyes, Minsu smiled and reassured them that it was all a misunderstanding and that her name would be cleared. She felt terrible for lying, but it was the only way to keep them from worrying. They told her they loved her and that if she was in trouble, she could always come home to talk and spend time with them. She promised she would visit during the semester break. Meanwhile, Sunjin decided to go to work in the afternoon. He walked into Tech Bloom wearing sunglasses to hide his swollen eyes from all the crying. As he entered the reception area, he ran into his father, who immediately questioned why he was late for work. Sunjin replied that he hadn't been feeling well that morning. His father, pleased with him for ending things with Minsu, applauded him and told him he was finally back to his senses. Sunjin looked at him, but said nothing. He only thought about how much he despised him. As they stood there, Minsu passed by. Sunjin's heart skipped a beat as he watched her walk past him. He instinctively tried to go after her, but his father grabbed his shoulder and warned him not to even think about it, informing him that he had instructed the legal officer to contact Minsu so she could come and collect her belongings. Sunjin looked at his father, and with bitterness in his voice, told him not to worry, as his life was his to control anyway. He said this as he walked away. As Sunjin sat in his office, lost in thought about Minsu, he overheard his assistant at the door telling someone that he was not allowed to see her. Realizing it was Minsu, he immediately jumped up from his seat and rushed to the door. Sunjin quickly ran to his door. Just hearing Minsu's voice brought a different kind of reaction to him. He tried to go out, but the guard assigned by his father to monitor his movements stopped him, pushing Sunjin back into the office and closing the door. Standing there, Sunjin placed his hand on the door, hoping Minsu was still there. He called out her name and asked if she was still there. Minsu answered from outside, telling him she was there and that she just wanted to request something from him. Nothing else. Sunjin asked if she was okay and if she had been sleeping and eating well. Minsu ignored his questions and instead pleaded with him to do something about the statement that had been released by his company about her. She told him that what was said was false, that it was affecting her life, and that she needed her name cleared. She added that this was all she was asking for, and that she would leave him alone. As she spoke, she began to walk away. Hearing her footsteps fade broke Sunjin's heart. He banged on the door and called out her name, demanding that the guard open it. Defeated and heartbroken, he sat by the door. He didn't want things to end this way. He truly loved her. Even though he had told her he was letting her go, his heart still longed for her. Later that day, Sunjin stormed into the PR department and went straight to the supervisor's office, ordering her to release a statement clearing Minsu's name. The supervisor hesitated, explaining that she had been instructed by Sunjin's father to put out the previous statement and didn't want to go against his orders. Sunjin looked at her angrily and reminded her that he was the CEO and demanded that Minsu's name be cleared. The supervisor looked at him, conflicted. She knew Sunjin's father had more power, and going against him would lead to trouble. She told Sunjin she wouldn't do it unless his father gave the order. Furious, Sunjin stormed out and went straight to his father's office. Without hesitation, he confronted him, reminding him that he had broken up with Minsu as requested and now expected him to clear her name. His father looked at him in disbelief, surprised that he was still thinking about Minsu. He had assumed they were past this. Sunjin pleaded with him, insisting that Minsu had no part in this, that it was his doing, and that she was a good person who only wanted to work hard and live a happy life. His father watched him, realizing just how deeply his son had fallen for Minsu. He stood up from his desk, walked over to Sunjin, and told him that he had no problem clearing Minsu's name, but only on one condition. Sunjin had to go on a blind date that he had arranged, and he had to make a good impression on the woman he was meeting. Sunjin, with no other choice, agreed. His father assured him that Minsu's name would be cleared after the blind date. Sunjin walked out angrily. The following day, Minsu visited the dean's office, asking if she could help her find another internship since she had been dismissed from Tech Bloom. She knew how crucial an internship was to her overall grades and didn't want to fail. The dean told her that the only option left was for her to find one herself, as the department couldn't assist at the moment. Minsu sat there, saddened. The dean reminded her that she was a smart, hard-working young lady and encouraged her not to let this setback stop her from chasing her dreams. Minsu smiled, thanked her, and walked out. Determined, she decided to search for an internship herself. She knew the best approach was to speak directly to potential employers and explain that the accusations against her were false. She visited several organizations, but none gave her a promising response. Still, she refused to give up. That afternoon, Sunjin arrived at the blind date his father had arranged. The meeting was set at a luxurious hotel. He walked in and approached the young lady seated at the table. They exchanged greetings, and she introduced herself as a member of the Jin family, which owned one of Korea's largest gold mines. Unimpressed, Sunjin told her to order whatever she wanted, adding that he wasn't hungry. The lady did most of the talking while Sunjin sat there, lost in thoughts of Min-soo. He wished she was the one sitting across from him. The idea of being on a date with another woman didn't sit well with him, but he knew he had to do this for the woman he truly loved. As they sat there, Min-soo walked into the hotel. Sunjin's heart sank the moment he saw her.